Perfect. So the goal here is to talk about a few creative management strategies that can be utilized during instruction. So one that I have uh, been using this past year is called, I don't think there's a name for it. I just call it tell the person next to you. That's probably what I would title it. But essentially, during instruction, when you're presenting something relatively new lesson, maybe you're starting into the, I don't know, let's say maybe geometry topic where you have to talk about angles, right? Those few types of angles, the obtuse, acute, and right angles. So you start talking about those angles, defining them, and giving examples. And then there comes a point where you want the students to start talking with each other and not just listening to you. So you say, okay, tell the person next to you what an obtuse angle is. And okay, before you actually get into this strategy, the goal is just for students to talk to each other and explain in their own words what their definition of some of the terminology is. So it just gets the students pretty much on an even playing field. So it's not just a teacher talking with the students. The students actually have their own interpretation of the knowledge, and they're sharing it with each other. Okay, so you don't really need much for this strategy. Just strategically pair up your groups so that you don't have all the high students in one group together. Definitely mix in some of the mid and low students as well, especially with some English language learners. It's definitely powerful for them when they could hear it from the teacher, hear it from their peers, and then them try to explain it back to each other. Okay. And that strategy is just called tell the person next to you. I think most of you have probably used it or heard about it before. I just don't know what the exact name of it is called. Okay. The ideal grade level, I would say at least third grade. Third grade and all the way up to even college. You're going to be repeating information back in your own way that you synthesized. So, yes, I think starting third grade, that'd probably be a really good time to begin using this strategy called tell the person next to you. Okay, so another strategy that you can utilize during classroom instruction is called, I call this one note to self. Okay, it's just called note to self. So as you are solving a problem, let's say this one. I think I have one here. Do I have one? Yeah. Let's say you have something like this, and you put it on the board, and it's just you're adding two fractions together. And let's say that a student goes on ahead and says that the answer is 3/7 here. It's not 3/7. This is actually incorrect, but let's say it's 3/7. And we all, I go over to the student, I look at his paper, and I say, okay, looks like you added the numerators together and you added the denominators together. That's not what we do. I know I'll explain to the student that's not what we do. Let's actually make a note to self here. So it's typically you give a student a post-it note, and usually just get the regular size post-it notes. Okay, and I'll just make this one red. And you're going to stick it right here. Stick it right next to where the student got the incorrect problem, and you're going to have them write in their own handwriting at the top, either NTS, explain to them that that's going to be note to self, and they're going to write out something that they should remember when they see this kind of problem going forward from this point. So note to self, don't add the numerators and denominators without having common denominators, right? So you're just going to write a quick note to self. You're probably just going to say it to them and have the student write something that they should remember to avoid the same mistake happening again. And again, it's just a quick note to self. It's whenever they get to another problem, you tell them, hey, remember that note to self that you wrote? Go ahead and read it and make sure you're not doing the wrong step again. Okay, so this, again, the goal here is just for students to understand what they're doing wrong and stop it at that moment. Like, don't have it repeat. But it's just a quick post-it note to self, and it's just a quick reminder for every student to know wherever they get stuck, they could actually get unstuck because they left themselves notes on what to do when they get to the same point in similar problems. Okay, and this strategy is just called note to self. The grade levels, you can use this in, and again, this is during instruction. Even if the teacher is going over the problem with the whole class, the teacher could actually write a note to self on the board without post-it notes. So you actually don't even need post-it notes. You could probably just put a square, big square on the side, and have just write inside the square, note to self. Make sure to have common denominators, period. And again, it's just a quick note to let the students know what they should do next time. The grade levels, I think, again, third grade all the way to 12th grade. You can use this, especially when it gets to the more difficult, lengthy questions like in Algebra 2 and Physics. All right, so those multi-step problems, you definitely want to have notes indicating what you should and shouldn't do. Let's see, another strategy that you can utilize during instruction. I would call this one real touch. Okay, it's just real touch. I actually used it this year with some fifth graders. We were going over area and I think it was area and perimeter. And I told the students, I explained uh, academically what the area was with a figure. In this case, it was just a rectangle, and what the perimeter was, if you were given a rectangle and how to find that. But more importantly, I told them to take their hand and touch the table. Okay, touch your table. It's a flat surface, and I want them to say the word area. Okay, they're going to associate a flat surface that they see, or pretty much what they sit at the entire day, with a word area. Okay, first get them used to saying area when they touch the flat surface of the table, and then when they get to a perimeter, you're just going to have them move their hand around the edge of the table. Okay, and you're going to have them alternate. Say, okay, you guys, when I say area, you're going to put your hand on the table. When I say perimeter, go and rub your hand against the edge of the table. So once they start getting used to that, then you start saying, you're going to make it a game. Now you could gamify the real touch. Now that students kind of already know what they have to touch. Now they have to make sure to map it correctly. Area means the flat table surface. Perimeter means the edges. So you tell students to play truthfully. Some of them won't. Whenever you say area, you want them to quickly put their hand on either the tabletop or on the edge, based on whether or not you say area or perimeter. But again, you could extend this to any other type of activity that you have. So you probably could try it with. Let me think. Let me think about English. Maybe nouns. All right, you guys, go ahead and stand up and touch a noun. They go up to find something, a person, a place, or a thing, and just put their hand on it so that they can start internalizing what a noun is. And again, it's very fun type of activity or just a strategy that you can use in order to help students get engaged with the topic at hand, have them move around for just 10 seconds, just as a quick formative assessment. Maybe you want to see whether or not students know what a right angle is. All right, you guys, get up and go ahead and touch a right angle. And you just wait 10 seconds and see which students actually know how to identify a right angle. And you could quickly see and help and address the students that need a little bit more support. So this strategy is just, for me, I just call it real touch. It's the one I use this year. Okay. And that is it.